Morning. I was watching the video back from last night. It wasn't a very good video. It was some good information in it, but it wasn't the best video. I had my head cut off for half of it, but I hope you guys understand that it's a fine line between showing some cool shit, stuff that not a lot of people get to see, and video quality. And hopefully, I mean, maybe someday, I don't know, when I grow up, I'll be able to kind of do both. But I hope that my channel is about content and about cool things more than the production of it and some drones flying around and cool editing with some cool music in the background. I've already got one of my most successful videos that I have on my channel isn't monetized because of music in the background. So what I got to do, you guys saw, I should give you an up close of the rebate that we cut last night. I'm going to cut the one on the other side, just do it and see how fast I can do it. See if I can do it a little bit better. The one that I did last night, I mean, I might as well have almost done it just with a chisel and a standard plane, just because of the way that the shoulder plane walked away from the shoulder and left me a problem to fix that I should have taken care of earlier in the process. But I'll show you the one that I did last night and up close, by hand with the shoulder plane. There's Danny. Say hi, Danny. Hi, Danny. Seeing all the wood chips, Danny? There he is. He likes coming in the shop until he sees me pull out the hammer to take those holdfasts off, and then he's going to run. But, it came out beautiful. It's all to perfect depth, nice straights, perfectly square shoulder. It's perfectly square to the piece. It's going to go together great. And the importance to this is that when you do your joinery, the more square that your joinery is, and the more on dimension and the better that it is. And, I could have just taken, let me illustrate. I could have taken, Danny, don't be eating my boards. A marking knife and a combination square, and then just knife the line across here. See if I can, I'll just knife one across here. Knife myself a line across like this at 3/4, then gone in with the chisel. That's why you have hardwood floors right there. Gone in with the chisel and, chiseled out to the knife mark to create a shoulder. All the way across, giving myself a little edge, so to speak. Just another way of doing it. Give yourself a perfect edge across there. Let's see. I don't know how good that's going to show up. Let's get in close. Zoom in on that. Man, this thing just doesn't like to focus when it's zoomed in. So you can see, that give yourself a nice little edge there with that little bevel going in. And I could have done that and then just basically chiseled it out. I'll zoom you back out. And chiseled that out over to the edge. I realize that I'm not going against, my kind of bench has found a weird spot in the floor now. Because I was doing it along the edge, I could have just, basically hammered this thing out with a chisel, kept establishing that knife wall down, that there's not only one way to do this. But the way I did it with the shooting board, shooting it perfectly square, and then a marking gauge, and then using the shoulder plane, and so on and so forth, makes your joinery better. So what I'm going to do, up like this, I'm going to try and put it in the bottom just because I'm trying not to cut so much of my head off. I wonder if I can zoom out a little bit. Maybe that's better. I'm going to go ahead and flip this one around. We'll mark it out. We're going to cut the other side, the rebate in the other side. Hopefully this hammer doesn't mess with Danny too much. And the key really is that when you start doing joinery and putting your stuff together, the more square that it is, the easier your project is going to go together. The less you're going to be fighting with it, the more perfect your lines are going to end up being. You're not going to get, all of a sudden run into a weird problem where something doesn't fit and wondering why and the whole 9 yards. So process here. Probably just going to go ahead and, which is the best direction for you? Let's stay here for a second. So we're going to mark over 3/4. I already got my marking gauge set to that. This gives me a nice clean line. Nice, clean, consistent line. One thing that I should have done there was make a provision for my straight edge that you saw me playing last night, but we're going to put that on here. Good lighting is really important. And if you want to check it, you could just do it with combination square to make sure that you're 3/4 over. I did not need this one here. I did that last night too. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm right on the line. Another thing too is when you're, so it can be a little misleading, is when you're planing plywood like this, plywood doesn't play nice for nice straight square edges. So let's get you over here. I'm going to take out this rebate here. And one thing I am going to try to do, it's really a catch-22 because my iron's skewed as much as I can get it, but I want to get this edge it's really close, but I want to get it sticking out a little more so that it'll cut a cleaner edge down here. And what that just did was, unfortunately, it's going to skew the iron a little bit more so that I'm going to have to kind of plane it from both sides. We're going to hold it nice and firm against our board here. Go ahead and start taking this off. The great thing about planing plywood is that if you go in a bad direction to where it doesn't like it, keep going because it'll change. It's cutting really nice. It is cutting a decent shoulder. Now, like I said last night, one mistake that I made was that I didn't establish that shoulder earlier. I'm going to do that today. I'm going to make sure I take that edge off right now. I can see my knife line. It's right down the board. I want to get this out of there because then I won't have to do so much work later like I had to last night to get that shoulder out. And that'll just come right out of there now. And as I go down, now that just gives me that nice knife wall up top. So as I plane down, I have something that I can work against. And I can see that this plane is already starting to walk away from, it's just not cutting up to the shoulder very well. So just really quick, I'm going to just continue that knife wall down just again so I don't get into trouble and have to take off a 1/4 inch of it. So it'll make more sense when I take my guide board away. Oh, my guide board just moved, so now I got to take it away. Now I got to take it away because I got to go in my knife wall. Make sure I don't lose that knife wall. Now, if the shoulder plane was cutting great, or maybe it probably has to do with the plywood, but if the shoulder plane was cutting great, it would establish this on its own. And that's just something that I'm going to have to sort out with that particular shoulder plane. Just kind of severing the fibers down right along my shoulder. And I'm not too far from depth as it is. It's only going to take another second. And that, like I said, that is something that I'll have to sort out with that shoulder plane, exactly why it's not cutting the shoulder itself really well. Assume I don't have that iron over enough. Huh. Just coming from the side here, take out the bottom of this. Wow. Still quite a bit of material there. I'm just going to grab a wider chisel really quick so I can register well. Not have so many step overs. It's funny how I tried to avoid this exact problem this morning and it reared its ugly head again. But it's good practice. One reason that I'm doing this in here instead of on a dado stack is just simply practice. I'm just being careful to maintain maintain my nice clean shoulder there, which I did pretty well. I don't think I'm at the point where I can start checking it yet. So I'm going to try to kick this over just another hair. It feels like the point's sticking out and like it should cut right to the shoulder. And then before I get too far, I'll start checking it here. One thing we don't want to do is overshoot. Still look like I got a decent little amount to go here, maybe a 16th or so. It is doing a better job now cutting into the corner. I think I can feel that point sticking out the side. Got quite a bit over here. I don't want to go too crazy over here because I don't know where I am, but I could take a little bit out of here, get closer. And do one quick pass the other way just to even out if it's... It looks like it's cutting fairly parallel right now, which is weird. It's not, it's skewed, so can't be cutting perfectly parallel. But if I do one pass the other way, I'll undo my error. And we'll start checking it. Get our combination square down to a quarter here. Got myself a quarter sticking out. Hopefully this view works for you guys. So I got a bump there, so I'm still high here and I can still see the shoulder. Still high, still high, still high. It's high all the way across. It looks pretty flat in the bottom. I'm just going to go ahead and take a couple more passes off here. All full length passes. Boom. It's a pretty, you don't see that often, a knot in plywood. We get fairly my pencil over ready to go. Start checking it. It's still high, still high, still high all the way across there. Still high all the way to the end here. Not very high. It's less than a 30-second high. I can see the gap under here. Not very much at all. It's a pass or two. Very high down here. So I am going to, and it drops off and it gets very close down here. So I'm going to make some passes and not go past this point right here. Shave this side. This is where the knot is. See how that knot's going to play here. This knot's not going to play nice, I don't think, with this plane, but we're going to make some short passes. Trying to stay nice and tight to the shoulder. Now I could tell one thing, that last pass, I just got a teeny bit deep over here. The good part is that the shoulder's not just in the corner there. You can see a teeny little bit of light right here. I can see the mark on the side, but I'm perfect. I'm still high there, just a teeny bit, but it's the smallest bit, and I'm still pretty damn high down here. So what I want to do is I want to back this up a little bit. Try and have it cut a little bit less. I'm going to make some passes the other way. Through that knot. Wow. That is an ugly knot. That is an ugly, ugly knot. Starting to lift it up. Wish I could just get through it. Don't see a knot in plywood every day. And it's still pretty high there. And it's really close down here. I really have to stay away from this end. It's still pretty high here. It's good that you got to see a major, major problem. That don't want to overshoot my depth. It's just wicked high all the way to right here. It's still pretty high here. This is not typical. What you're seeing right now is not typical. Literally got chunks of this knot flying out. This knot is just like coming apart. Okay, so it's still a teeny bit high. Just right through here. Right here. Right here. And then the only spot it's not high is here. From there over, still high, with it being the highest right here. So we'll just try and sneak up on it here. It's kind of playing nicer now. Don't want to overshoot my mark. One little spot right here where it's a little bit high. Take that off with a chisel really quick. So close. This knot did not play nice. If this knot wasn't there, it'd have been way done. Kind of just got a little bit of an area right here. Looks good. It's just touching right there. It's good through here, and most of that knot just fell apart, but I'm perfect out here on my support. There's not a spot in the whole thing where it lifts up. Yeah, pretty damn close. So you can see that knot that right there where it really started busting apart. Nothing really I can do about that in plywood. I mean, it's all glue and hard. But the edge came out good. It's to depth now. You can see that one little spot right there where where it kind of got a little low, I think, just for full disclosure. But all the way through here, it's perfect. That's not going to cause a problem. And it's all perfectly to depth all the way through. The only spot that's low is right in front of my finger here with this piece chipped out, but this support here is perfect. So that's going to be a fine joint. Be able to hold that right in there. Perfect. Don't like the way. Seems like there's a little bit of the shoulder that's sticking out on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is start down one end here. Don't come up over the top. And that's because that shoulder plane still not cutting the shoulder really well. What I do when I'm doing this is I got my chin on the end of the chisel and I'm pushing with my chin, controlling it with my fingers. That looks pretty good. Just get that little bit of that corner out of here where the shoulder plane wasn't cutting great into the corner. Perfect. All right, so yeah, just a little quick follow-up to last night, and that's one way to do it. That wasn't the cleanest, most fun way in the world because of that knot right there, but it's certainly a lot more fun than doing it on dado stacks out in the cold and in the outside machine shop. That's for sure. It's a lot more fun doing it this way. I got to get this this wedge. I've got to fine tune it a little bit. It swelled. The wedge swelled down in the hole where it was sticking through in the bottom. And it's fitting a little bit tight, so it's not adjusting great. There's some rust on the shaft of the skew iron that's keeping it from adjusting well. So I'll show you up close. So I actually took a bunch of the rust off this yesterday. It was all rusted like this. And I took a bunch of the rust off it. I put an edge on it. I did the bottom. And I got to clean up the shaft here, which might be easily ignored. But the problem is because of that rough rust on there, it doesn't like adjusting when you use the tap method. So it is a completely usable plane. I think that it's a little bit for doing what I'm doing. It's a little bit of a deal breaker to have it not cutting into the corner. So I am going to adjust that skew angle so it's perfect. And I am going to make sure when you adjust that skew angle, you can leave these corners sticking out just a hair on both sides so that they cut nice and cleanly into the edge. And what I'm having to do is I'm having to skew the iron all the way over to where one side's not really working that well. and the other side sticking way out because of the skew angle on it. So I'm going to adjust the skew angle to the base of the plane. And this one will be, you know, a good little user just to grab out of the shelf whenever possible, whenever you need it, especially if you're the big use for a shoulder plane like that for me would be cleaning up tenons. You know, when you're cutting mortise and tenons and you're doing big tenons, you know, you can grab a standard bench plane to clean up a tenon, but you can't get right into the shoulder. So if you do grab a shoulder plane, and I've got a million of them, I've got even new style as well, but with the shoulder plane, you can clean right up to the shoulder of the tenon. So when you're fine tuning fit on mortise and tenons, shoulder planes are really worth their weight in gold. And typically when I'm not working in plywood. So that's pretty much it. Just wanted to do a little follow up to last night's, and cut the last one, and I'm off to, I will have to go take Danny for a ride in the truck, and we'll gotta go get some more plywood, and we are gonna go do the rest of the machines, unless I gotta do any fine tuning or anything like that. So yeah, that's pretty much it, and I hope you guys are enjoying your morning. Pirate Solutions out.